Chapter 6. The Demon's Vengeance. The very walls of the safe house trembled as the earth-shaking roar of Asmodeus echoed through the night. Evelyn gripped the dagger of shadows tightly, her senses on high alert as she waited for the demon's inevitable assault. Ezra, his face etched with a mixture of determination and trepidation, stood before a small, ornate chalice, his fingers moving with practiced precision as he completed the final steps of the ritual. "It is done," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The chalice of banishment is prepared, but we must buy me time to channel its power." Evelyn nodded, her gaze sweeping over her team. Liam and Remy stood at the ready, their weapons drawn and their expressions resolute. Nadia's fingers danced across her laptop's keyboard, her eyes narrowed as she monitored the demon's approach. "Asmodeus is closing in fast," Nadia warned, the tension in her voice palpable. "We've got 30 seconds, maybe less, before he's on us." Evelyn took a deep, steadying breath, her mind racing with strategies. "All right, team. Liam, Remy, you two are on the front line. Hit that demon with everything you've got, but keep him distracted. Nadia, you and I are going to flank him. I'll use the dagger of shadows to get in close, and you provide cover fire." The team members nodded, their expressions grim but determined. They knew the stakes were higher than ever, that the demon's wrath would be a force to be reckoned with. But they were committed, bound by the promise of the demon's hoard and the exhilaration of their daring heist. Evelyn gripped the dagger of shadows, feeling its power hum in her palm. As the safe house door burst open with a deafening crash, she activated the artifact, her form melting into the shadows as Asmodeus's massive figure filled the doorway. The demon's glowing red eyes scanned the room, his razor-sharp claws extended as he let out a bone-chilling roar. "You dare to steal from me, foolish mortals?" he bellowed, his voice shaking the very foundations of the building. "Now, you shall face the full fury of Asmodeus." Liam and Remy sprang into action, their weapons blazing as they unleashed a barrage of gunfire and explosive charges at the demon. Asmodeus roared in pain and fury, his attention momentarily diverted from Evelyn and Nadia's position. Seizing the opportunity, Evelyn darted forward, the dagger of shadows granting her enhanced speed and stealth. She wove through the demon's attacks, her blade flashing as she struck at the vulnerable points she had observed during their previous encounter. Asmodeus howled in agony as Evelyn's blade found its mark, sinking deep into the demon's flesh. But the wound was not enough to slow the towering figure, and with a backhanded swipe, he sent Evelyn flying across the room, her body slamming into the wall with a sickening crack. Nadia's eyes widened in horror as she watched Evelyn crumple to the ground, but she refused to be deterred. Gritting her teeth, she unleashed a hail of bullets at the demon, aiming for the areas where Evelyn had struck. Asmodeus roared in pain, his attention split between the two groups of attackers. Liam and Remy pressed their advantage, their weapons blazing as they drew the demon's focus away from the fallen Evelyn. Ezra, his expression tense with concentration, began to chant the arcane incantation, the words rolling off his tongue with practiced precision. The chalice of banishment glowed with an ethereal light, its power building as the ritual progressed. Evelyn groaned, her vision blurring as she struggled to regain her footing. She could feel the dagger of shadows still gripped in her hand, its power coursing through her veins. Mustering her strength, she pushed herself up, her eyes locking onto Asmodeus's towering form. The demon was focused on Liam and Remy, his claws swiping and tearing through the air as he tried to break through their barrage of attacks. Seizing the opportunity, Evelyn activated the dagger of shadows once more, her form melting into the shadows as she darted towards the demon's exposed flank. Asmodeus, his attention divided, failed to perceive Evelyn's stealthy approach. With a swift, decisive strike, she plunged the dagger of shadows deep into the demon's side, channeling the artifact's power to heighten the blow. The demon howled in agony, his massive form staggering as the power of the dagger of shadows coursed through him. Evelyn pressed her advantage, her movements a blur as she struck again and again, her blade finding purchase in the demon's vulnerable areas. Nadia, seeing an opening, unleashed another volley of bullets, her aim true as the rounds tore through Asmodeus's flesh. The demon roared in pain and fury, his attention diverted from Liam and Remy's assault. Sensing the opportunity, Ezra's voice rang out, the words of the ritual echoing through the safe house. By the power vested in me, I banish thee, Asmodeus, demon of the 9 hells. Return to the abyss from whence you came. The chalice of banishment glowed with blinding intensity, the air crackling with arcane energy. Asmodeus let out a bone-chilling scream as the power of the ritual enveloped him, his massive form beginning to dissolve into wisps of dark energy. "No!" the demon bellowed, his glowing eyes filled with a murderous rage. "This cannot be! I will not be denied my vengeance." Evelyn, her muscles burning with exertion, pressed her attack, the dagger of shadows flashing as she struck the demon with renewed ferocity. Asmodeus roared in agony, his claws lashing out in a desperate attempt to stop the ritual. But Ezra's chanting grew louder, the words echoing with a power that transcended the mortal realm. Asmodeus's form began to waver, his essence being drawn back into the abyss from whence he came. "Curse you, mortals," the demon howled, his voice fading as his physical form dissolved. "I will not forget this indignity. The wrath of Asmodeus will return to haunt you, and you will beg for the mercy I now deny you." With a final earth-shaking rumble, the demon's presence vanished, the safe house falling silent, save for the ragged breaths of Evelyn and her team. Evelyn stood, her body trembling with exhaustion, the dagger of shadows still gripped tightly in her hand. Though she surveyed the room, her gaze sweeping over her battered but victorious teammates. Liam and Remy leaned against the wall, their weapons still at the ready, their eyes scanning the room for any sign of the demon's return. Nadia's fingers flew across her laptop's keyboard, her brow furrowed in concentration as she monitored the demonic activity in the area. Ezra, his robes disheveled and his expression weary, carefully placed the chalice of banishment back on the table, his hands shaking slightly. "It is done," the scholar said, his voice tinged with a mixture of relief and trepidation. "Asmodeus has been banished, but I fear his wrath will not be so easily sated." Evelyn nodded, her grip tightening on the dagger of shadows. "I know. That demon won't rest until he's reclaimed his stolen treasures. We need to move in quickly." The team sprang into action, their movements efficient and practiced, as they gathered the remaining artifacts and prepared to vacate the safe house. Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that the demon's presence still lingered in the shadows. As they made their way through the deserted streets, Evelyn couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph and trepidation. They had pulled off the impossible, stealing from a demon and living to tell the tale. But she knew that the true test was yet to come. Asmodeus's final words still echoed in her mind, a chilling reminder of the demon's unrelenting fury. "The wrath of Asmodeus will return to haunt you, and you will beg for the mercy I now deny you." Evelyn steeled her resolve, her jaw set with determination. They had faced the demon's might and survived, but she knew that their troubles were far from over. The demon's vengeance would not be so easily sated, and Evelyn and her team would need to be prepared for the storm that was about to descend upon them. As they disappeared into the night, Evelyn couldn't help but feel a sense of both exhilaration and dread. The demon's hoard had proven to be a far greater prize than she had ever imagined, and the consequences of their actions were only just beginning to unfold.